After I posted my video about constraints, Bob Marshall, also known as flowchains in Sci, posted on Mastodon, moot point, all constraints will be gamed anyway. So is it even possible or reasonable to put constraints on a software team? Or how else can we encourage or cause behavior change? Hello, my name is David, and you're watching a series where I talk about software development while I'm working on my bonsai trees and on my pre-bonsai. And I sometimes compare the two, even though all those comparisons are lacking, I know that. But sometimes it helps me think about those topics. So remember this tree from our last video about constraints? I removed the wire because the wire was already biting into the bark. And even though I said I'm not sure if all the branches have settled yet, I have to remove it now. I have to remove the constraint now because it's already doing much more harm than it is helping. Now the tree has the wire on again. The branches were not set in place and it needs some more time to grow into this shape. But that's okay. That's something I was expecting in the last video. Here's another tree from the same batch of trees. I later want to create a group planting from them when they're a little bit taller and stronger. But for now they are in these pond baskets, and I've also wired this tree to have a sacrificial trunk here. And as you see, in this case, the branch has set and I have not added some more wire. So here the wire has helped. In bonsai, we use wires to shape the trees, to put constraints on them and to cause them to grow in a different direction, to change their growing behavior. But software is developed by people, and I'm fully aware that people are not trees and that we cannot just force a group of people to do something. Behavioral change is hard if you want to do it for yourself, and it's even harder to do a behavior change that sticks in a group of people that have to work together. With bonsai, we often use wiring, the technique where you put wire around the branches to guide their growth. But you could create bonsai completely without wiring by just clipping them and letting them grow and guiding their growth through where you cut the branches, and by sometimes adding some guy wires to just pull down some branches. And even more important than that, even more important than the wiring, is that we create an environment where they can thrive. We put them into some soil that is optimized for the tree that we want to grow. In this case, it's some inorganic soil, a mix that can retain water but also drains very well. We put them into full sun. We fertilize them heavily and always water them when they need water. And when they are in an environment where they can thrive, then they will more likely grow into the shape that we want them to grow. Here's another tree from this batch. You can see I've also wired this one here to have multiple sacrificial branches. Here we have the wire biting in already, and here too. But I'm not sure if this band here has already set. So I'm now trying something that is probably not good technique, but I'll try it anyway. So I will unwire this branch and I will unwire the trunk up until here. But then I'll try to use the same wire in a different place to keep this band in place. While I do that, let's talk a little bit more about behavior change in software development. All constraints will be gamed anyway. Even the tree did it to me. It gamed my constraint. It moved back into its old place. And people are not trees, so people will be much more creative to work around constraints that they don't think are useful for them. And because of that, I think that just trying to force people to do something by adding constraints from the outside will rarely, if ever, work. But what can we do instead? I think the key message here is that constraints from the outside don't work. If we create an environment where a team can thrive and where doing the right thing is easy, then people and teams might come up with constraints for themselves. In many agile methodologies like Scrum and also others, we do retrospectives where on certain schedule, usually every week or every 2 weeks, we think about what did work well, what didn't work, and how can we improve the things that work well and do less of the things that didn't work. This is usually the time where we as a team together try to change our behavior. And this is also the time where we should plan a small improvement experiment for our team for the next 2 weeks. So we are together agreeing on a behavior change that we will try for 2 weeks. We are agreeing on a constraint that we put on ourselves. And then we evaluate its usefulness very soon after we edit it, like 1 or 2 weeks later. And then we can either do more of it, remove it, replace it. And this is a way how it can work, how constraints for a team can lead to a behavior change that we want. By giving the team an environment where it can thrive, then letting the team itself or the people themselves decide on which constraint to try, how to apply it, and how to evaluate its usefulness. Now this wire here is a little bit too long for where it is now, because the lower part of this trunk is already set in place. So I will cut it here, and we can already come to the conclusion. Adding wire to a tree works often, most of the time, because the tree has only very little possibilities to game those constraints. When you force constraints onto people from the outside, all those constraints will be gamed. The only way how behavior change, lasting behavior change, can work or can work well is to create an environment where a team can thrive, where building the right software and where doing the right things is easy, and then letting those people decide how they can improve which constraints they want to apply to themselves and how to evaluate and change them. How is this working in your team? Please tell me in the comments. And if you like content like that, then please hit the like button and subscribe to this channel. See you next time in another video where I talk about software development while I'm working on my pre-bonsai or on my bonsai trees.